Hello and welcome back to another video. So today we're talking about a journey as a teacher. And the first thing I want you guys to do, if you possibly can, is if you're watching this through the eyes of anyone relating to schools, so this could be a teacher, you could be a trainee teacher, you could be a teaching assistant, you could just be someone who works in a school, you could be someone who one day aspires to work in a school and wants to become a teacher, become someone who's involved in teaching somehow. If you are one of those people, then could you please, in the comments down below, put your journey so far and where you hope to be in the future? Because I'm going to be sharing my journey today and the way I have become a teacher and how I got there and where I've gone now, and then obviously my hopes and dreams for the future as a teacher. And so I want to obviously share that to kind of hopefully inspire a few people that they can do it too and they can follow the same footsteps that I did. But I also want to fill out in the comments down below and see all the different things that people have done to either become teachers, all the ways people are hoping to become teachers or people involved in education in the future. Because there's so many different ways of doing it, and my journey is only one way, and it's by no means the right way of doing it. It's just the way I chose to do it, and it worked for me. So I'd love to see in the comments down below all the different ways that you have become involved in education or are planning on becoming involved in education. So as I said, that could be teachers, trainees, teaching staff, kitchen staff, people like social workers, mental health workers, TAs, anyone. Just get your comments down below on where you have gone so far and what you're planning on doing in the future. It'll be a nice place for everyone to support each other and congratulate each other and give each other little hints and tips about what might be coming up for them. So anyway, my journey as a teacher, I finished sixth form at the age of 18, and my original plan was to go and study geography at university. However, in sixth form, I did not particularly enjoy geography and I did not do very well in my final exam, which meant I could not go and do geography because I did not get the grades I needed. So in about halfway through year 13 or start year 13, I changed my mind and I decided that actually I was going to go and do primary education as a degree. So I finished university and I got given an unconditional offer at Hull University to go and study primary teaching for 3 years. So I didn't do a PGCE, I did what's called a BA. So I got a primary teaching degree from that over 3 years. And it was an amazing time. I had built some great friendships. I had a brilliant 3 years up in Hull. I moved from London, so it was a massive change for me to move all the way up north to Hull. And it was just amazing. It opened my eyes to a whole another side of the country and another way of living, and it was just brilliant. I absolutely loved my degree there, and I was lucky enough to come away from that with a 2-1, which I was very, very happy with. So if you want to go know a bit more about what I did in those 3 years and kind of what is involved in that teaching degree, then I'll try and remember to link a video up in the corner somewhere. But if you go have a look at my videos, then I have done one about what the 3-year teaching degree is like based on my experiences. So anyway, that was an absolutely brilliant time. It was great fun. I did various placements and worked in different schools and did lots and lots of essays and presentations and learned about what it's like to be a teacher, really. And so at the end of those 3 years, about halfway through my final year, I finished my last placement and I had to start applying for jobs. So that was where it became a dreaded process of putting in application forms, going to interviews, getting rejected quite a lot. And it took, I think it was my 5th interview. So I put in a load of letters. I got accepted to 4 in different orders, and some of them I got rejected after going to the interview. Some I went to the interview and then got invited back to another kind of stage of the process and then got rejected. But it wasn't going very well, and I didn't really know why, but I do know that whenever I went to one of those schools, that it didn't feel like it was right for me. It didn't feel like it was a nice environment. There's nothing to say about the school was wrong and the school wasn't a nice environment. It just didn't fit right for me. I didn't feel like I enjoyed my time there. So anyway, I was feeling a bit downhearted, but I finally got this 5th interview, and I went to this interview where I had to teach a lesson in the morning where I did a little maths lesson, and then I had an interview with the head and one of the governors and a couple others. I can't really remember who was there in the end. But I had this interview, and I remember coming out from this interview, and I left straight away after. And I was still at university in Hull, and obviously I'm now in South Yorkshire, near Rotherham. So it was about an hour and a bit's drive away to get to this interview, and I'd driven down for it, and then I drove straight back up to Hull. And I remember driving back just thinking I had so much fun. And it was amazing. I had the best time doing this interview and teaching an observation lesson, basically, which normally are quite stressful, quite hard work. You worry about how you're doing. And I laughed. I enjoyed myself. The people there were lovely. And I just had this feeling that it was just right. It was the right school. And I compared it to all the other ones, and they didn't even come close to what that school was like. So anyway, I had a really good feeling about it. I drove all the way back, and about an hour after I got home, so about 2 hours after the interview finished, I got a phone call from the head teacher to say they had accepted me as a teacher for the next year, and she invited me back for a couple of days to get to know people, attend a few staff meetings, transition, that kind of thing. So that was kind of my process to become an actual teacher. And that was the point where I was like, wow, okay, I've actually made it. And I haven't looked back since. I'm so happy that they did accept me there, because I was right in the sense of the feeling I have for the school. The school I'm at, I'm still there now. I've just finished my 3rd year teaching there, and it's just fantastic. We're like a family. The staff there are amazing. The children there work so hard and are brilliant. And it's an absolutely fantastic place to be as a teacher. So I do love it. So anyway, I started there, and in my NQT year, I was in a year 4 class, which I really enjoyed. I loved it, I had a great time. It was hard work. Year NQT year is a tough old slog. There's so much to get to grips with, and I think, while I loved my 3-year teaching degree, the amount it actually taught me of what it's like day-to-day life as a teacher wasn't a lot. I learned a lot about the theory of teaching and about kind of what it's like to be a teacher overall and how to do bits of teaching, but in terms of just the day-to-day, the amount of stuff you have to do every single day, it did not prepare me for that. So it was definitely a massive wake-up call. It took me most of my first year to kind of get to grips with everything I had to do. And even now, I don't think teachers ever properly finish developing as a teacher, because it's one of those careers where you're always trying to get better and trying to improve. But I did eventually start getting to grips with it. So the next year I stayed into year 4, going into my 2nd year of teaching. I was still in year 4. And again, I loved it. I had a brilliant class again, and they were just working really hard. But that was the year that COVID first hit. And so my 2nd year was going great until March, and all of a sudden school shut and went into online learning. And I was like, whoa, okay, a whole nother thing to learn with, whole nother thing to do. What is happening here? So anyway, that year we went through lockdown. We finished for summer. We managed to get the children back for a few days at the end of the year in little groups. But again, a crazy end of the year, and I wasn't yet fully to grips with what was going on. And so we started my 3rd year, and I was like, okay, right, thinking, here we go, back at school again in September. Everyone was back. We have bubbles and things, but it'll be a normal year. And we went through the first term, and I was getting to grips with it, did the Christmas play, and I felt like, everything was going really well. And when I was comparing to the previous 2 years, how that time had gone, because I was up to grips with most things, and, I feel like I'm a good teacher now. But then, as you know, in January, COVID hit again, and we went to Zoom learning, and so we were teaching on Zoom. And again, it was a whole another thing to deal with. And I think it's one of the things where I imagine, and having spoken to other teachers that have been teaching for longer than me, especially my head teacher, there's something every single year, and COVID was a bigger thing than most, but there is something that's going to come every single year that just knocks you kind of off your perch and makes you think twice about what you're doing and how well everything is going. So I think it's something I'm going to have to get used to about this. It's probably going to happen every single year. But anyway, those were the kind of the setbacks where I was like, wow, okay, rethink what we're doing, start again, how are things going? And this is now me coming to the end of my 3rd year with children are back in school again, and I am staying in year 5 for next year. So it's my 2nd year in year 5 now, 2 years in year 4, and now going into my 2nd year in year 5. And I'm really looking forward to it. I obviously, from going to year 4 to year 5, I kept the class as it's a single form entry school. So I've loved having my 2 years with them, and obviously I missed out on a lot of time with them in year 4. So it was really nice to have them in year 5 and get to teach them still and watch them grow. But I'm also now looking forward to the new challenge of having a new class and all the different personalities and children that come with it. So that is my career as a teacher. Now, looking to the future, my biggest aspiration as a teacher is one day I'd love to become a head teacher of my own school. Now, I don't know where that'll be or when that'll happen. I don't plan on it happening for a long time yet. But I do hope that one day I will become a head teacher, because I love the idea of being able to run a school and work with all different staff members and other head teachers from other schools, and being able to build a whole school in a whole local area and work with the community and that kind of thing. So definitely that's something that I aspire to be. But for now, my biggest aspirations right now, looking forward to the next year, are probably to focus on my own subject leadership. So I am subject leader of geography and computing at my school. And this, in my 3rd year, this was the target for this year, where I really kind of thought I was going to build on that subject leadership. And I have done better in it compared to previous years. I've led staff meetings about my subjects, but I've not quite done as much as I wanted, mainly due to lockdown, and then due to having to focus on prioritising what things we can teach when the kids came back, because they'd missed out on so much. And it's just not really been as much of a focus as I wanted it to be. So this year I really want to knuckle down and look at my subject leadership, because that obviously, once I've got to grips with that properly and I know what I'm doing with that really well, then that's where I can then build into looking at middle leadership and how that all kind of links in together for the future, because it's not something I plan on doing next, but eventually I'd like to become, looking at leadership courses and becoming a member of a senior leadership in a school. And again, that's something that is years away from me right now. I'm just developing as a teacher still at the minute, but it is always in the back of my mind that is something I aspire to be, and moving up school. But it's eventually as well, I'd love to teach year 6. Now I'm loving teaching year 5, and again, I don't want to move from year 5 at the minute. But year 6 is kind of like the pinnacle of primary school in my eyes. It's where I've always wanted to end up teaching. And I like the fact I've progressed from year 4 up to year 5, and then who knows what will happen in the future. I've been on a few training courses recently that my head teachers put me on about kind of year 6 and looking at assessment and looking at the level of work that's expected in year 6. And that's been really helpful, because obviously I'll use that in the future when I eventually do hopefully one day teach year 6. That's really good experience for me right now. So that is me. That's my career as a teacher. And I'm so happy. I remember when I first became a teacher, I was never, even throughout my 3 years of training, I was never 100% sure this is what I wanted to do. But now, having finished my course and been a teacher for 3 years, I can safely say it was the best decision I ever made. I'm so happy I did make that decision, and it has just worked out really well. I can't wait to see where my career progresses from here. So as always, guys, if you have any questions, anything you wanted to ask, any comments, anything, just put them in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you for watching. See you soon.